Howdy, everyone. My name's Nicholas, and welcome to the Headliner PodPod. We're a show about podcasts featuring podcasts by podcasters that's hosted by people who help podcasters with their podcasting. On each episode, a few of the folks over at Headliner sit down to play a game that centers around listening to a randomly selected clip from over 500 show submissions. Why? Because we're hunting for something we like to call Pod Zero. Here are the rules. Each of the lucky contestants will hear a 60-second podcast clip. They'll then need to pick the correct podcast title from a lineup of 3 choices before being shown the artwork for the show. And we're doing something a little special today. We're doing a bit of a secret Santa. So we've each picked out a show for one another on the podcast, and we'll be trading them and trying to stump each other with our answers. Before we get started, though, let's introduce each of the contestants for today, starting with Max.
Hey, headliners.
Next up, we have
My
Jesse.
best.
That was good.
Hello there.
All righty. Following Jesse, we have Oliver.
Ho, 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 let's go!
We have Pratik.
Hey, everyone.
And we have Kristy.
Let's go!
And because Alyssa isn't here today, I will be taking the honor of reading our quick little ad read. In the year of the Barbie, remember to think pink. When logging in to create your audiograms, be sure to try hitting the pink transcribe button to access Eddy. Eddy is our free transcription tool and lightweight editor. Get a polished podcast in addition to things like generative episode art, show notes, keywords, and more. Eddy helps podcasts get optimized and uploaded in a snap. So, there you have it. I hope I had enough Kenergy in that reading. And without further ado, let's get our first clip started. Max, would you like to kick things off for us?
Absolutely. So this is a Secret Santa gift clip for Jesse.
Oh, you should have.
Had to. Was obliged, forced to. And I admire your festive sweater and very nice Christmas sweater and picture perfect background, which I believe is actually a picture.
It
But
is a
if not, I
picture.
was going to compliment you on your really nice
I
decor.
wish. I wish.
All right, cool. So, Jesse, if you would cover your eyes, please. Great.
So like Be My Baby is number 1 because I think it's the best song ever written.
Sure.
But also because I knew like there were songs that I left off that I'm like, well, that doesn't need my vote. At Last doesn't need one more vote, does it?
Yeah.
So I,
It did actually. It came in 6th, so
well,
it
that's
needed
true.
a couple.
Yeah, it could have used a few more. But what I was trying to do was essentially like help out some ones that I thought should have higher placement, and then some others, had meaning and message behind them.
Yep.
And then like one of my favorite albums of all time is by the Co-Stars. I don't know if you remember or are familiar. The Co-Stars were Jill and Viv from Luscious Jackson. They had this side project, and they put
excellent.
one album out on Grand Royal, all right,
Mhm.
called Classics with a K. They got a song with Gene and Dean Ween on it. It's absolutely
Oh my God,
phenomenal.
that sounds amazing.
Okay. I hate how much of that I understood. Max, would you like to introduce the titles that Jesse will have to pick from today?
Absolutely. And I understood a delightful amount of that as well. I picked that podcast for you, Jesse, because you are a great trumpet player, I'm told. I've never heard you play though, but I hope to soon. And so I thought a music podcast would be good. And my mouse just stopped working, so I'm not going to be able to turn off the mute button after this, but I'll figure that out after. And so the titles for this podcast are either the first one, Yo, That's My John, the podcast, or Hey, That's My Jam, the podcast, or Hey Yeah, Oh, podcast.
All right.
Let me
I'm
figure
going to
out
go with number 2. Hey, that's my jam.
do I get to do the Nicholas thing?
Yeah,
now?
you get to do your Nicholas impression today.
Nicholas, too.
Are you? I don't exactly remember how you do it, but are you sure? Would you
I
really?
think
like
I
to
am.
are you
I
really want to
like
make
it.
a massive decision?
I'm just gonna make the snap to. We've been going through a lot of probability outcomes here. We've been picking the first choice and then picking the first choice to select the second choice and then trying to like backdoor our way into all this. I think it's been long enough. Let's just go with our first choice again here. So number 2.
Okay.
That's your final choice.
Final
aka
choice.
Your funeral. Is that really how you want to go out today?
I'm ready.
Okay.
You want to tell them if you're right or you want me to? It's your call.
Okay. Well, I get to have the satisfaction of being Nicholas and saying that is incorrect. And I won again. I am the greatest podcast game show host of all time. Sorry. Try again.
So what was the correct one?
It was Yo, That's My John, the podcast. Yep. I think that means
got it. Well, I'll definitely have to look it up. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so it was the Yo, That's My John podcast. And I just want to say from now, Jesse, you can save. You can get a few bonus points if you want. If you can actually place what it's a reference to, which I didn't get from Alyssa. Alyssa never confirmed if it's a reference to something, but I'm 99% sure it is.
Which one? Hey, That's My Jam, or
Hey, That's My Jam.
Oh.
I know the other one's obvious.
Okay, well then I don't think I know the number 2 then, because I only knew the number 3.
Darn. It was actually seemingly a reference to the Check 1-2 song, Hey, That's My Jam.
Oh.
Which was, I don't know if it was a hit, but it was out around the same time as the Hey song. So there you go. A little bit of random trivia for you. Let's learn a bit about this show real quick. So the clip we listened to is from the bonus episode, Your Next Favorite Band /25 o'clock /YTMJ crossover event. And the show's description is, Yo, That's My John is a podcast, website, brand, movement, way of life dedicated to the embrace and championing of your passions. Featuring conversations with musicians and creatives about finding their passions and acting on them, and segments celebrating anything you love unapologetically. Let's take the guilt out of guilty pleasures. Displace the guilt, embrace the pleasure, and shout to the world, Yo, That's My John. So, there you have it. Pretty cool. Max and I seem to have gotten a few of the references there. As soon as I heard the word Be My Baby, I kind of just clapped in glee a little bit because I love that song. With that out of the way, we have the artwork over here. Very cool art. It looks like we got some album art or radio art in the background followed over the episode title. You gotta love episode art. So very cool stuff.
Another reason I picked it was because they have the reference to Yo MTV Raps as the logo. So that always gets a soft spot in my heart.
Yeah. Actually, they do have the Yo MTV Raps thing in the background too of the art for the episode. So go figure.
Yeah, I think that's their podcast cover art.
Oh, it is. You're right.
Yeah, see, they have, instead of MTV, they have
my
Yo.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Coming up next, we have Jesse. Would you like to introduce your clip, who it's for, etc.?
Yeah. Kristy, you're a real fun guy. Call the man a mushroom. He's a fun guy. He likes comedy. And so I wanted to pick a podcast that likes to interview some comedians from time to time. And so that's where this one's coming from.
Very cool. Kristy, would you like to cover your eyes?
Yes, I would.
Okay, awesome. Also, Jesse, I couldn't help but notice you sounded like the Spotify DJ for a second there. Just a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it was me. Anyway, let's get this clip started.
So it was a really good chance for me to look back and to say, like, wow, throughout the ups and downs, the good times and the bad, comedy has always been there for me. So for me, it was like sort of like reigniting a spark. And it gave me the chance to remember, why it is that I do what I do. Of course, I joke in the book about how, I've sort of made myself unemployable in any other field other than comedy, So obviously there's the business component to it, and I need to pay the bills, but it is pretty awesome to be able to, make a living by putting stuff out there that I'm proud of and that I want to share with the world.
Okay. So there was your clip. And let's find out what your options are for today, Jesse.
Up first, we have number 1, Hollywood and Toto podcast. Number 2, we have Hollywood and Total podcast. And lastly, we have Fumbles podcast. What are you feeling here, Kristy?
Oh man, I get so tripped up. I'm gonna go with Thumble's podcast.
Fumbles podcast, number 3. We're locking it in.
Locking it in.
You feel good about that, Kristy?
You know what? I don't feel anything anymore.
I get that checked out by a doctor, but we'll talk about that off mic.
Well, Kristy, fortunately for you, you got that one wrong. It is not Fumbles podcast. It is number 1, Hollywood and Toto podcast.
So sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm bad at this game, and I feel like there has to be heels in a game, and that will be me. I'm okay with that, and I'm glad that this is happening.
Well, I'm glad you're taking this standing up. Let's learn a little bit about this show. This is from an episode entitled Just Try Canceling Lou Perez. And the show description is, the Hollywood and Toto podcasts offers a weekly look at entertainment from a conservative point of view. And if you saw the artwork while I had it up, I'm assuming it's a picture of the host with the text for the show right beside him. Good artwork, though. It's very well illustrated. I'm a huge fan of like the little film, strip behind him. It's well designed.
Yeah, this is one that's a submission from our friends at Radio America. So thanks to them for sending it in.
Very cool. I also I love when design does things that kind of pulls your eye towards the art, even if it's technically off. It's that little bit of the film strip on the bottom right. I can't take my eye off of it, and it's just making me read Radio America repeatedly in like the best way. I don't know if there's a name for that, but maybe Max, if there's a name for design when you intentionally do stuff like that.
Ooh, design quiz on the podcast.
Yeah.
I might not be able to shame.
Called Good Design
Podcast and shame.
No.
This is worse than losing than not guessing the episode title, right? This actually impacts my life. I don't know.
At any rate, it's very cool looking. How about that? Well, let's just leave it at that. So, jumping on to our next contestant, Oliver, you're at bat.
Wonderful. So, this means that I will be producing my clip for critique. Is that correct, host?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. Wonderful. Before we get started, I, as you all may know or may not know, tend to try to find that line just on this side of appropriate. Just this side of appropriate. And Critique recently got married. All right. Round of applause, everybody. All right. Woo.
Congrats.
We'll put in a crowd after the fact.
So I thought, let's find a podcast about being married. And then I thought, let's find a podcast about aspects of marriage that are not appropriate for a work podcast. And then I thought, that's probably not a good idea. So let Headliner pick the clip. I won't go in there and pick a clip that would embarrass Pratik. And so what you're about to hear was picked by Headliner. And I'm not sure which side of the line it is on.
I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't screen the clips before today. So we're leaving it up to the dice right now. Pratik, if you're upset about it, do not get mad at us. As Michael Jackson once said, blame it on the boogie, blame it on the AI. So there you go.
Do it. I'm ready.
Cool. Eyes are covered?
Yep.
Nice.
But when you understand not only what it does to you, but what it does to your partner, and more importantly, your relationship and your marriage, it's a lot easier to approach that with the intentionality that we all need to make sure that we're not going down that slippery slope.
Yeah, we've seen some scary statistics on porn addiction, and we're seeing it even I'm going to be honest, at our church, there's like a high level of people that have an addiction that they're trying to break.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen there's a lot of couples we know that this has affected their marriages. And it's really huge. Like a lot of the ones that we knew that had this issue are now divorced. Yep. Because, I mean, if your addiction to that is so strong, like what does that leave your spouse? Like how do they compete with that? They can't, and they never will. So, I mean, you're really setting yourself up for a lot of disappointment there.
Okay. There was our clip. How festive. I don't know about you guys, but I heard
that was a very heavy clip, Oliver.
Could not be more inappropriate.
Yeah. I don't know about that, Max, but
oh my God.
There was a manually selected clip that was absolutely worse than that.
That was an Oliver selection.
You thought that was bad.
That actually wasn't me. I found a clip that was like absolutely inappropriate that I did not choose. That was a headliner selected clip.
There you go.
Headliner, you nasty.
All right.
Oh, all right. I'm so sorry. I forgot I was hosting for 30 seconds here.
That's okay.
Pratik, now that you've heard the clip, let me present to you your 3 choices. Number 1, welcome to our Happily Married Life podcast. Number 2, Legacy Driven Marriages podcast. Number 3, Happy Wife, Happy Life podcast.
I don't think it's number 3, but just simply because the clip could be presented for either partner, I feel. So I'm going to go with number 1. It's,
number 1.
Getting to that happy married life. And this is just one of the things they want you to deal with, right? So number 1, let's do it.
An excellent choice. However, number 2 was the correct answer. Legacy Driven Marriages podcast.
Definitely wasn't thinking that would be.
Yeah, so sorry, Pratik. Although I like where your head's at with your choice. Yeah. Unfortunately, you are incorrect today. Also, Oliver, just have to give you a huge kudos for your reading. It was very professional. It gave movie phone vibes, if anyone remembers what movie phone is. So, cool.
Yeah.
Let's learn a little bit about the show. The episode this clip was taken from was How to Deal with Drifting Apart in Your Marriage. Festive stuff. And the show description.
Correct. I'm so sorry to interject. Could you pull up the screenshot? That was, and I know what you're reading on the script is just incorrect there. So it's not your fault, Nicholas. Most likely my fault. I am so sorry, everybody.
Yeah, no problem.
I believe it's about intimacy.
You are correct. It is from the episode Breaking Barriers to Physical Intimacy. And while we have the artwork up, great artwork, just very simple artwork for the episode. Like I said earlier, you gotta love when a show has episode art. It's just custom. It's kind of like looking at an LP versus the single, Single art's always kind of cooler. So there you go. Let's learn a little bit about this show real quick. Show description is real people, real stories, real triumph. Short, sweet, and to the point. I love it. So with that out of the way, our next contestant up at bat is Kristy.
All right. So I had to pick for Oliver. Now, the reason I picked this one is there's a funny story for when I started working at Headliner. I was offered tickets to the symphony. And
I don't remember that.
Oliver had asked me if I wanted to go to the symphony. And I was like, and I had seen the last time I went to the symphony, I passed out just because it was just so boring. So I said no. About a month later, he asked if I wanted tickets to the symphony again. And I said, oh, no, I appreciate it. He goes, I'm going to keep asking you because I bought season tickets to the symphony. And I'm going to keep asking you every month if you want to go to the symphony. And I'm going to say, man, I'm going to have to say no every time. But so this is me saying yes in a way. This is me finally saying yes. And I'm not even sure if it has to do with the symphony, but it does have to do with the arts. And so that's why it brought that connection up.
Very cool. I love it. I love that there's a story behind this gift. Also, that is the most Oliver thing I've ever heard in the best way. Absolutely delightful.
Absolutely delightful.
I never
All right.
went either. Let's just say, back when I was drinking wine or any alcohol, sometimes late at night, I'd feel the urge to purchase something. And one night, it was a season pass to the Nashville Symphony.
Incredible. Let's get this clip rolling right now.
I start giving examples from my programs about doing Flight of the Bumblebee, where you do music flights alongside 5-ounce pours of beer, or doing Bach Ben's yoga. Like, really, here's some this is not lofty ideas. Here's some concrete ideas. And this person could just not understand what I was talking about. That was so frustrating for me because it made me realize that the national conversation and the conversation that I'm trying to have is just ships passing in the night with the way these major classical music organizations are being run and the echo chambers that are happening inside them. I had a couple of conversations like that. I had a lovely conversation with a wonderful man from a big time agency. And he said, listen, I really love what you're doing. I think it's great. And I think it's where we need to head.
Okay.
Was that music part of the podcast?
Yeah, that was a part of the podcast. I actually accidentally hit my Spotify. No, like that was a part of the show. That was cool in the gang, or not.
All right. So now, Oliver, here is the game that we're going to be playing. Is you have to guess. First option is arts, work, life. The second is...
Quick question on number one. Is work spelled with an O or an E?
Oh.
Okay. We'll rule that out then.
Okay. 2, work, life, arts.
Now, quick question on number 2. Is work spelled with an O or an E?
It does. It is with an O.
We'll rule that one out then.
All right. Now the third one. Life, arts, work.
A quick question on number 3. Is life spelled with an I or a Y?
That is with an I.
Well, that's got to be the answer then, number 3.
All right. Or do you want to lock it in?
Kristy. You know I offered you all those tickets. Maybe you give me a little hint.
Okay, I will give you a little hint. It's one of the ones where work starts with work has an O in it.
Well, it's absolutely number 2 then. Lock it in. Number 2 for the win. Merry Christmas.
I am so sorry, Oliver. It was option 1.
No.
It was arts, work, and life.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So sorry about that. Also, Kristy, I want to make it clear, not my choice to throw those titles at you. Actually,
Who did
Alyssa's
that?
call. It was Alyssa, but I signed off on it. I thought it would be like a little Christmas gift for you to be the curmudgeon for once.
It was a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I get to end my year on such a high note. And is it bad that I got to do that to my boss? It is, but it does feel good inside.
Well, that's what matters. So, arts, work, and life was the correct answer. And the episode we just heard that clip from was Breaking Out of the Box. Our show description is as follows. Arts workers are essential, and more than ever, it's important that the world understands what it's like to work in the performing arts. Go behind the scenes with personal stories on workplace and work culture from arts workers and themselves. So there you have it. Pretty interesting stuff. I really appreciated Flights of the Bumblebee. I'm a sucker for some good wordplay, so that was
pretty good.
Yeah, it was really good. So there we
They
have
sold
it.
a lot of tickets to that concert.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, we have our final clip for the day. Pratik, you are up at bat.
All right,
With
my
the honor.
clip is for Max, and unlike the other contestants, I put no thought into picking this out. I just at random picked out podcasts, and I don't even know what it's about, Max. So we're gonna find together.
Just like a real dirty Santa
Very
present.
nice of you.
Yeah.
This is real dirty Santa. We're getting raw.
This is like the Gap gift card of podcast selections. I love it. Okay. Max, would you like to cover your eyes? Awesome.
Will Trish know this? Anyone?
Absolutely not.
There you go.
No.
No? Billy, what about you? Do you think Trish will know who was a famous rapper who died in 2021?
I don't think so.
All right. John, do you think that she'll know this?
No.
Trish, who died, what's famous rapper died in 2021 of April?
50 Cent.
So close. It was DMX. Sorry about that, Trish. You were wrong again. Trish, what is the world's fastest bird?
The one I flip you off with.
An ostrich.
You are incorrect. It is some kind of falcon that I can't pronounce the name. Here's a good
Maltese.
one. Here's a good one. Here's a good one that Trish might actually know.
I really wanted to know what it was. I mean, okay. There's our clip. Pratik, would you like to introduce
That was
the
a great
names?
pick, Richie. I know you didn't try, but like that sounds like a perfect show for me.
Exactly.
Okay,
All right,
loud.
let's
Kind
give
of like.
them the options.
I love what's the fastest bird? The one I flip you off with. Amazing.
I was a huge
Should-
fan of the guy's like accent. He had that like typical like Philly or Bronx, hey yo, you know, kind of like rasp
It
to
was
his voice.
so good. It was such a great way to like. Is that the last one for today?
That was the last one for today.
Oh, beautiful! What a great like. Even with the swearing, what a beautiful moment. Like that was fantastic.
Yeah, I love the headline
Absolutely.
selection.
Also, R.I.P. DMX. I completely forgot.
Yeah.
All right, DMX.
Definitely not 50 Cent. So, all right, Max, are you ready for your options?
Let's do it.
1. The Ham Radio Show presents Cold Cuts. Number 2, Porker Radio Show. And number 3, Roasted Toasted BBQ.
Okay, I think this is borderline cheating because I actually know this podcast.
Oh,
I think. Watch me embarrass myself now by getting it wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the first one. I'm not sure if it is actually, but I'm pretty sure. And if it is, Cold Cuts is such a great name to have in a podcast title with that crew. They seem like a crew who loves cold cuts. But I'm gonna lock in number 1. Let's see if I cheated or not.
that is correct. Wow, look at the odds.
There you
I
go, Max.
like random and
Whoa.
facts.
I think I almost picked it, so that's why. So
Wow.
I kind of cheated. But you know what?
Okay.
It's the only win of the day, I think. Did you get
Yeah.
yours?
I did not win mine. No, that's
I
the only
think-
one.
It's the only win, and we got there by cheating. So, we got to get there.
I don't think
how we
that's
said,
cheating.
guys.
I think that's
That's
destiny. That's a
fair enough.
meet cute. That's a Christmas miracle. That's a rom-com.
That's a
So-
miracle on 34th Street right there.
There you go. Exactly. So let's take a look at that artwork. Just a great like cover for a show too. It's begging to be a neon sign in my opinion.
Kind of
You know?
sticker. I like it.
Yeah.
It's definitely a sticker in South Philly on like the side of a mailbox or something.
There you go. So very cool stuff. Let's learn a little bit about that show. And I can't get over the fact, Max, that you actually knew it. Like you had almost picked this.
Yeah, I listened to a little bit of it when I was trying to pick it something for Jesse, and then because the name stuck out to me, and then I was like, "Well, this isn't about music," but that one was, so maybe that one could have worked as well. But yeah,
There you go. Definitely interesting stuff. I also appreciated it was seemingly a trivia segment on a podcast that was covered on a podcast that itself is kind of a trivia segment. So there's a lot of things going on in my head right now from that. Anyway, the clip from today's episode was Trish plays Does She Know It? And our show description is it all started at a Connecticut school of broadcasting in an empty room and has developed into the most dangerous radio show on the internet, armed with weapons of mass discussion. Tackling the hot button topics and chatting it up with the biggest stars, and even the smallest ones too, in the entertainment industry, it's raw, it's edgy, it's completely uncensored, It's the Ham Radio Show's best bits and interviews. Hear the full episodes at www.thehamradio.show. There you have it. I
Also,
love
ham radio, such a great play on words for a cold cuts crew, a crew of people who probably eats a lot of cold cuts.
There's a lot of good wordplay in this. I'm still like several paces back at weapons of mass discussion, or the fact that their URL is .show. That these guys are from the year 3000. Like, this is amazing. So, good stuff all around. Anyway, that was our last clip for today. I hope everyone enjoyed their gifts and that everyone listening enjoyed listening to the episode. So yeah, have a good one.
Yay.
Yeah.
Bye. Yay.
Bye.